All right, folks, we got a good one today. What if I told you that Trump's tribute to Teddy Roosevelt is all about strategy and has little to do with sentiment, but you'll only see it if you know how to read it? And this all takes place yesterday when President Trump flew the new Air Force One on its inaugural flight to North Dakota to open the Teddy Roosevelt Museum. This is 1 week after Obama opened his own little library in Chicago. Now, by the end of the video today, you'll see what that's produced. And it includes an offer from one of the largest companies in the world. And this strategy is mind-blowing. I'm not talking shit here, okay? So before we get into it, please like the video, share it, leave a comment down below, and do not forget to subscribe to the J.R. Majewski Show.
Is that JR? Yes. But we love you, JR. Thank you very much. Thank you, man. This guy, he's a genius. Thank you, JR. Really nice.
I got the coolest opening on YouTube. Anyway, look, what I need you to understand is what Trump did yesterday and how monumental this is. Okay, because nobody in the media is going to connect this for you. Okay, here's what I'm going to talk about today, and here's what I'm going to show you. Okay, yesterday's ceremony was a mission statement. This wasn't a photo op. I'm going to show you how two presidential libraries, 700 miles apart, prove two completely different philosophies of government, and how one is already garnering about $8 trillion. And it shows that putting America first is winning. And I also want to show you how this probably will have a direct landing in our bank accounts. So let's watch this clip.
Do you consider the Panama Canal your greatest achievement?
Well. Right then, yes.
Good answer.
The canal stands as one of my proudest battles, no question. But greatness is a strange thing. It isn't always the biggest or boldest job that matters most. The Panama Canal showed what America could achieve if we held steady and acted fast when the world dragged its feet. That said, I measure my greatest work by the lives improved. Parks set aside, food and drugs made safe, the square deal given to all, not just to a few. Still, when I stood in the mud watching those steam shovels, knowing ships would pass through, changing the world's map forever, I felt I'd left a mark that would last.
Okay, you did. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about Theodore Roosevelt. He made American industry the most powerful force on the planet. And he did it all by refusing to accept mediocrity as the price of doing business. And Trump didn't pick that library by accident. He handed over a Medal of Honor. He talked to an AI version of Teddy about when he built the Panama Canal. Now remember, Trump has a special place in his heart for the Panama Canal. He said many a times, China isn't getting anywhere near it so long as he's the president. That's not a museum tour. That's a president telling us the playbook out loud. Now here's where it gets important, okay? If you want to see the other side of that coin, you don't have to look far. Let's talk about another Roosevelt, FDR. He hid his own health from the American public for over a decade. He gave away half of the eastern part of Europe to Stalin at Yalta, and he called it diplomacy. He tried to pack the Supreme Court when it stopped him from getting his way. Barack Obama, well, he told us that if we loved our doctor, we could keep him. That was a lie. And PolitiFact actually called it the lie of the year. Obama, like FDR, he handed over some things. He gave Iran pallets of cash, and he apologized for America on this stupid, pitiful world tour. This is the same playbook, 8 years apart. Charm on the outside, dependency, and decline on the inside. Now, you don't have to take my word for any of that. I mean, look at what these two men actually built. Because the buildings, they speak for themselves. One is $850 million, a decade of delays, taxpayers on the hook for hundreds of millions in roads and infrastructure just to support it. $30 just to get in the door. And you probably have to have an ID too. This is the most expensive presidential museum in American history. The White House put it plainly, in their words, thanks to the builder-in-chief, these projects are being completed on time and under budget. A stark contrast to the errantly run Obama administration, which overspent and underdelivered. And look, this is the part that should piss all of us off, especially of our, understanding how our taxes are spent in this country. And Trump wasn't even invited to the opening of that Obama building that our taxpayer dollars helped pay for.
Hello, Chicago.
Now, the other was $450 million, privately funded, finished on schedule. Trump didn't just get invited. He was the man handing over Roosevelt's own Medal of Honor.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This is an honor. We love you, and you've been so nice to me with those votes. We set every record in the book. But today we come to the heartland of America to pay tribute to a man who embodied the heart and soul and fight and spirit of our country as much as anyone who ever lived. And he's a very special man, and that's why I'm here, President Theodore Roosevelt. And he loved your community, he loved your state, and he was quite something. He was really quite something.
One library got built the way Roosevelt would have built it. The other got built the way FDR's government would have built it. Late, bloated, and on the public's dime. Probably in a wheelchair and lying about it, too, with the mistress. But that's not a coincidence. That's two philosophies of government, standing 700 miles apart, made out of steel and concrete, so you can't argue with it. Now, I want you to watch what the philosophy here actually does when you turn it loose on the American economy. Apple, $600 billion. Meta, $600 billion. NVIDIA, $500 billion. Project Stargate, $500 billion. TSMC, the biggest chip maker on the planet, based in Taiwan, $165 billion, building here in the U.S. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Hyundai, out of South Korea, $26 billion, including a brand new steel plant in Louisiana. Novartis, a Swiss company, $23 billion, and 4,000 new American jobs. Stellantis, $13 billion, reopening plants that they've mothballed and shut down. AbbVie, $10 billion. Honda, they're moving their production of cars out of Japan and into Indiana. General Motors, well, they're pulling production out of Mexico and bringing it back to Michigan, Kansas, and Tennessee. Add it all up, and you get more than $8 trillion pledged to every one of us, all since Trump took office. Folks, I know what it looks like when numbers like this are fake, padded, or dressed up for a press release. And that's not what Trump did. It's not what he's about. These are publicly traded companies with boards and shareholders who will hold these people accountable to these numbers. And that's the receipt. Teddy Roosevelt's America is industry as the engine of national strength. It's not a theory. It's a reality. And Trump is making it happen again in real time with real dollars in real American towns across this nation. And here's where it gets even bigger than anybody's expected. See, the president already told us that the American public would become a partner in this boom. Recently, Sam Altman's company, OpenAI, proposed the United States government take 5% ownership stake in its company. And at their current evaluation, that stake alone is worth around $42.6 billion. Now, I want to be straight with you on where this one stands. It's a proposal. It's not law. It's not been finalized, and any real version of this would need Congress to sign off. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick have reportedly been in these discussions, but nothing here is locked in. But the point is, the offer's on the table. Okay? Now, here's the part that should put a smile on your face, I guess, maybe. The model they're using is the Alaska Permanent Fund. Okay, it's the same fund that paid oil dividends straight to Alaskan families in '76. Now, reports on this proposal put the number at over $1,000 per year, per American. Now, if that goes through the way it's being floated, that's a nice little check. Now, if you think about what that actually is, 2 years ago, these companies were lobbying Washington, D.C. for tax breaks and regulatory favors. Now, the biggest companies in the country or the world are voluntarily offering to cut the American public in on the profits. That's not a company being generous. That's a company that knows it needs America more than America needs it. And that only happens when a president rebuilds that leverage. So here's where I see this, all going. Number one, Congress, they'll have to pass this, but they may slow walk it. They may water it down, and the partner language may become another broken promise. I mean, that's the outcome if Washington reverts to form. Number two, it could pass in a diluted version, some token dividend that sounds good in a press release and does nothing to our bank accounts. Or three, it could be passed close to what is being pitched right now, with Trump demanding its oversight. And it becomes the first real proof that this administration can turn negotiating leverage into a check into our mailbox. But if you're asking me to bet, I'd bet probably the second one, unless Trump really hound dogs this. I mean, Washington rarely delivers the full version of anything on the first try. But the fact that we're even having this conversation is the story, because 2 years ago, this wasn't on the table at all. Now, folks, we just talked about the difference between a government that begs companies to stay and a government that has companies begging to be part of it. Now, if you're one of those people who worked your whole life and watched Washington treat us like an afterthought, this shift is for you. You earned the right to see this country get its leverage back. Now, rounded up, today's video proves some things here. Okay, Trump isn't running a nostalgia tour when he honors Roosevelt. He's running Teddy's actual playbook. Industry over decline, strength over apology. And the paradigm has already flipped hard enough that the world's biggest companies are offering to cut us in. So here's what I want to know from you. What do you think? Think Congress will actually let the American public get a deal like this? Will we have a stake in this AI boom? Or do you think Washington's going to find a way to keep that money for themselves? Do you think Trump should be modeling this presidency after Roosevelt? Or is there another president that you like better? And if that Alaska-style dividend becomes real, what would that extra $1,000 a year mean to you and your family? Give me everything you got in the comments, folks. And if we don't see you, have a happy 4th of July.